Good morning and welcome to the channel. I'm your host, John Daga, and as always, I'm joined by Johnny. Today we're going to feature this 1967 Ferrari 330 GTC. This car belongs to a client of ours that brought this car to us for some interior work, a gentleman named Chaz Robertson. Now normally we try and keep our clients' identities and the information about their cars very private, but Chaz is very involved in social media and he was very excited that we asked him if we could feature the car. So a shout out to Chaz, and I'll put a link to his Instagram in the description. So this 330 GTC is finished in Verde Pinot or pine green. Less than 1% of all Ferraris are finished in any kind of green hue. Of the GTCs, they made 600 and they only finished 7 in this color. This car was originally delivered to Rome. It was owned by a gentleman from Portugal. And then long about 1971, it was shipped to the United States via New York. Had several owners in the States. It had one long-term owner, which was the owner and his son. And then long about 2014, it showed up at F40 Motorsports, which is Wayne Carini's dealership. And it was listed for $825,000. So when this car came to us, it came to us for some interior work, which we're going to review here in a little bit. So here we have Johnny in his natural environment. So Johnny, what's your title here at Rare Classics?
My official title is head upholsterer.
Are you an upholsterer or are you a trimmer?
I don't know. I don't know what the politically correct is. I sew things.
All right. So in addition to sewing, you have to make patterns, you have to stuff seats, you have to make frames, you have to make everything that goes behind the pretty.
Yeah. So a lot of people think when it comes to upholstery, all we do is sit behind a sewing machine, but this is maybe a third of the time. Majority of the time comes from templating, making sure the frame is good, building up the foam on it. So it's a lot more that goes into this than just sitting behind a sewing machine.
Excellent. And you get some glue sniffing in there too, don't you?
Yeah, at this point, I don't smell the glue anymore. A lot of people complain about it, but I don't smell it.
All right, Johnny. So why don't you come over here and show us your latest project?
Yep.
All right, in our 330 GTC, this came to us from a client.
Yes,
and
sir.
it had some issues.
Yes,
Can
sir.
you kind of give us an idea what the issues were and what you did to correct them?
So some of the issues that we had on the car, you could tell from the beginning, somebody had dyed the seats and dyed a lot of the panels to make them match. They wanted to go the easy route versus recovering everything. So we had to let the customer know that we were going to recover the seats, door panels, rear quarter panels, and redo the carpet.
All right, so why don't you give us a little tour here, Johnny?
Mm-hmm. So door panels, when it first came in, were done kind of correctly. We had to redo it from scratch.
So when you redid it from scratch, you knew wood behind it?
Yeah, brand new wood behind it. I had to shape everything out.
And didn't we have an issue with the armrest support?
Yeah, so the armrest, whenever it first came in, was attached to the door panel. So if you pulled hard enough, you could literally rip this whole door panel off. There were anchor points that were anchored to the actual door frame that were not here, and we had to custom make them. And now the door handle, you could literally pull this whole door handle off and it would probably rip the door off the hinge.
All right, so another thing was the sill plates. How were those done when the car came in?
So originally when the car came in, they didn't have these. So what they ended up doing was just taking the carpet and pulling it up over the top, and it would end right here. What we ended up doing was remaking it out of steel, and we actually remade the trim pieces on it as well. And I rewrapped it with the original vinyl that it would have came with.
So underneath the carpeting, what did you find?
Underneath the carpeting, we found some issues. Once we pulled it up, the carpet, there was too thick of jute, so it was jamming into the seat tracks. And also, once we pulled the jute up, there was holes that were on the floor that the customer obviously did not know about.
And what's the floor pan in this car made out of?
And surprisingly, the floor pan is made out of fiberglass. So any of those holes, we had to repatch them over with new fiberglass.
Okay. So on the seats, what were your challenges on the seats?
Challenges on the seats. Back in the day, they did what's called tuck and roll. These are pleats, but they're rolled over. So that's kind of a challenge to mark them out and actually do them. Another challenge is to make sure that these all line up once you're looking on it from head on. Another challenge is this seat frame actually ends right about here. So there is no structure to the actual seat top. So whenever I'm making the cover and I'm pulling it over the top, whenever I go to pull tension on it, the whole seat wants to move out of position. So that throws any of your templating off. So that was definitely the biggest challenge in this car, was not having any structure up over the top of this seat.
Okay, and then the rear quarter trims were?
Originally had the original leather on it, but they had dyed it to match the seat color. So I had to pull those panels off, rewrap them, and that was fun. Another big challenging part is this rear carpet section. Just because how big this piece is, it goes all the way from the top and it comes all the way down to the floor. So making that out of one piece and making sure everything fits up and lines up nicely the way that it was supposed to be was a pretty big challenge, because you only get 1 or 2 shots at this. One shot if you only order enough material just to make sure the car gets wrapped up.
So what kind of leather do we use here?
Here we use, for this car was originally had Conley leather in. We have a relationship with Conley leather over in Europe. So this is the exact same kind of leather, the exact same grain that would have came with this car at the time period.
All right, well, great work, Johnny. Thank you.
Thank you, man.
But right now we're going to go for a ride. So I know that you all love to see me get in these little Italian cars. So here you go. And that was way better than the Seata. So a couple quick things about the layout in this car. It does have this really cool dogleg gated shifter. Reverses forward where you would think first would be, and first is down here. It is a 5-speed. One thing Ferrari started doing was actually labeling the switches. And this car has a radio. It's a 67, so the cars were getting a little more refined by then. And they say this was probably the first Ferrari that you could actually listen to the radio in. So this car does not have air conditioning, does not have power steering, does not have power brakes. But it has a V12. And check this out. Power windows.
There's your AC.
Yes, sir. And we're off. So this dogleg shifter controls a transaxle, not a transmission. So it's a V12 in the front, has a 5-speed transaxle in the rear. Similar layout to a Daytona. Makes for a very nice ride, very tractable, well-balanced automobile. You don't even miss the power steering or power brakes. All right, big traffic jam here in downtown Boca. Carburetors on it. 5-speed manual transaxle. And since this was a Rome delivered car, metrics. So we have kilometers, Celsius. We're somewhere there's a fuel gauge. Over here, benzina.
Benzene.
And another item on this car that shows its refinement is the fact that it actually has an outside rear view mirror, or a side view mirror and a rear view mirror. It used to be the big joke was the first rule of Italian driving: what's behind you, not important. Spoken by Raul Julia in the movie The Gumball Rally, when he gets in the Daytona and rips the rear view mirror off the dash. Everybody's inclination is to go forward with the shifter for first. That would be really tough at a light when you backed into somebody. Comfy.
Yeah, it should be.
I actually have some headroom in this car. This car is well sorted, very tractable, very nice to drive. Plus I probably look pretty good in it. Well, that concludes the road test portion of our video. Well, we hope you enjoyed our 330 GTC 1967 Ferrari. I hope you learned a little bit about the process here at Rare Classics, how we do some of the upholstery work and other things on these Concours cars. I'd like to really thank all of our audience. Recently, we've had a big surge in subscriptions and a lot of interaction with you all, and it's been great. So thank you. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. If you thought that the video was good, please give it a like, and we'll see you on the next one.